Hello, everyone, and to all our Net Impact listeners. I am so excited to have a really special guest with us here today. I'm Nesha Mutuku, the director of the Black Professional Chapter, and we talk all about sustainability and how Black people are championing sustainability, and no one better to join us in this conversation than Miss USA herself. I am so excited to have you here. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing great. It's great weather here, and I am excited to hear a little bit more about what your life looks like on the day to day. What is a typical day in the life for Miss USA?
Oh, it changes every single day, which is what I love. But so I will be living in LA. So for the past couple of months, I have been transitioning into the role of Miss USA. And so for the past month, I've been in Kentucky, able to go out into my community, speak with those impacted by the tornadoes, visit my alma mater, go out and connect with as many people as possible before I head out to LA. But once I get to LA, it'll be busy, 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 entertainment center of the world. So I'm excited.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited to watch your journey, and I'll be putting all your socials and information in this so that way people can follow you and watch you as you go through this like massive, massive transition. Um, so I just kind of want to talk a little bit about what Net Impact does. We were founded like 30 years ago to bring awareness to sustainability and how we're actually sewing back into this planet that we're so blessed to live on. And what we want to do is take people like you and your voice and be able just to highlight it and share it with the rest of the world, just to be an inspiration to the rest of the community, especially the Black community in America. So I stumbled across you not by accident. I was I was competing in the Miss Florida USA pageant, and so I was following Miss USA like so
Oh, wait a minute.
intently.
I didn't know that.
So I gathered my whole family around and we sat around the TV. We're like, oh my goodness, who's gonna win? We were so into it. We were so excited. And I saw your question. So how did you feel? Like, how was competing? Like, what was the emotion?
There's so many different emotions. I mean, to work so hard to get to the Miss USA stage and then to see that finally come to fruition and walk the stage, that was absolutely incredible. But, as the night progressed and you get closer and closer to the crown, the more feelings and emotions you get. And so it was right before top eight question. And I remember I looked at Victoria, Miss Texas USA, and I was like, girl, are you ready for this? And we were like, I don't know. We're about to find out. But thankfully, I had prepared as much as possible in regards to answering any type of questions, any hot topic questions. And I got the question in regards to sustainability, and I voiced my opinion on that, and it just worked out.
Love that. Did
Yeah.
you feel like shocked when the question came up? Was there like any like, oh no? Or was there just like, I completely know it?
People ask me because I went back and watched it and I feel like I immediately started talking. And I think in preparation, I knew that they were going to ask questions in regards to hot topics, and sustainability and things related to climate change are hot topics. And so I studied it as much as I could. I knew where I stood on that answer, on that issue. And so once that question came up, I was like, okay, let's just go. Let's just say what's on our mind.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. So I hope you don't mind, but I'd love to read your answer to the question to everybody here that's listening. So the question was, sustainability is becoming more and more important in professional landscapes. How can we encourage businesses to be more environmentally conscious? Definitely a heavy hitter. And then you came in with a phenomenal answer of, I think we've got to look at it from a macro level and also a micro level. So at the macro level, companies need to switch to green energy. I think that's something that we can all agree on. But then at the micro level, we all know how to reduce, reuse, and recycle. And those are things that we can implement in our daily lives. So as you guys can hear, it's incredible. How does it feel kind of like hearing it again, like repeated over and over? Like, does it feel surreal?
It does feel a little bit surreal because it is a hard question. The more I listen to it, I'm like, it is a difficult question, especially when you're under pressure, and you have all the lights and the cameras hitting you. But, I really think prep went into me answering that question.
Yeah. And so I know that a lot of people are really scared to speak up on this topic. It's become a really red or blue question. It's become very polarizing. And so how can you like bring both parties together on this, and how has that kind of shaped your perspective?
I think I had to realize that we argue so much about it because we've politicized it for no reason.
Yeah.
Sustainability isn't something that we should argue about. We just need to take the initiative to see what we can do to be more sustainable. And so I wanted to showcase that in my answer. And I think if we take the politics out of it, it would solve a lot of our
Mhm.
problems. I think a lot of people would agree with that.
Okay. Well, I think what you're doing is incredible. Just being able to have this beautiful perspective that sees both sides and bringing people together is really important right now. And many people in this industry really talk big and virtue signal, and they don't really take action. And they post to Twitter, something to Twitter, but then nothing's really lining up in real life. So, what are your thoughts on that?
One, I think there's a lot of virtue signal due to people not holding these companies accountable. I think that's something. And so as consumers, we need to think about who we're investing in, what companies we're purchasing items from, because at the end of the day, these companies are worried about money. And if they're not making money, then there is going to see an issue. So I think that's something that needs to be addressed, holding these companies accountable and also talking about it. I feel like sustainability isn't on a lot of people's minds. What I've realized is people are very, it's easy to be caught up in your own life, and you just forget about the impact that you're making on the environment, all these different things. And so education and accountability, I think, would be two things that could help this issue.
Yeah, no, I could not have said it better myself. And that's really like what we want to do is bringing it out into the light and just talking about it to become a regular part of conversation. Because until something's normal, what are we really going to do? How's it going to become something that we teach our kids? So I think
Absolutely.
that's really well said. Yeah. And so because you have some really phenomenal thoughts on this, as Miss USA, I know this is not your platform, but what do you think you're doing to take action to kind of fight for sustainability, or how are you encouraging people to kind of take this fight as well? Because it seems like you have some really good motives.
Well, I think bringing it to the forefront, talking about it, doing interviews like this that will be pushed out, I think that's incredibly important. But also, fashion is a huge, huge part of being Miss USA. And so, investing in designers that focus on sustainability is incredibly important. And I wanted to do that even before I was Miss USA. So, for
Love that.
my interview outfit for Miss USA was designed by Sal Lee, who focuses on sustainability and the materials that she uses and the practices that she does when she's making her clothes. And I was like, I saw that and I said, okay, perfect. That's perfect for interview. I will wear that. And I think making those conscious decisions throughout my reign is something that I will commit to.
I love that. I was literally going to ask you about that because I keep on seeing these incredible outfits you're putting together. Now, I have to ask, do you have a stylist? Do you style yourself? Like, how does this all come together? Especially the recent outfit at the game where you wearing like Louboutin boots. It was
See, I would like to take all the credit for that, but I have a friend, and she is a woman of many positions, and it's Nancy. And so Nancy makes all those decisions for
I
me.
love
But she
it.
does a great job. She has a great sense of style, and it kind of works because I love fashion, and she's just expanding my love for it.
I'm really excited. And I think with what we wear, that's kind of what you're mentioning in your answer to that question is the daily things that we can do. And we have to wear clothes on a daily basis. And we're starting to see sustainable clothes get cheaper and cheaper, more accessible for the rest of us. And so I'm really excited that you're going to be doing that. And I'd love to put you in contact with some sustainable designers as
Well,
well, who I'm sure
absolutely.
would love to design some clothes for you and, bring more publicity because amazing. I love it. So I know that your platform, as we said, is not based on sustainability, but it's incredible. And I just want to hear from you for a minute, just why you chose your platform, what your story is, what you're doing with that, because I'm really excited to hear more about it from you.
So, Miss Kentucky USA was actually my first pageant. And when I was talking to my coach, she looked at me and she said, you can have a platform or you cannot. It's up to you. And I said, I absolutely want to have one. I know exactly what I want to do. And that's cervical cancer education and awareness in honor of my grandmother. And so, my favorite thing to say is grandmas are the best. And we all love our grandmas. And mine was my favorite person in the whole entire world. But unfortunately, she died of cervical cancer in 2015. And so for the next year as Miss USA and for years to come, even when Miss USA is done, I'll be working with the National Cervical Cancer Cancer Coalition to just bring education and awareness around that, and work on programming.
Wow. Oh my goodness. So this is something that's really, really close to home then.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's so important. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that journey, because I feel like it's easy to choose something that's really big and out there, but choosing something that's close to your heart, it's going to be really impressive to see that progress.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm excited because the Miss USA organization obviously works with Smile Train and Best Buddies. But I'm happy that I'm also able to work with National Cervical Cancer Coalition just because it is so close to my heart. So I'm excited for that.
That's an incredible connection. I'm so happy for you. It's going to be beautiful. And with things that are close to home, I know that you're from Kentucky, and there's a lot that's just been going on right now. How have you been able to aid in disaster relief and community rebuilding?
There has been a lot. You're right. So when
Yeah.
I was at Miss Universe, that's when the tornadoes hit, and I remember
Oh my gosh.
trying to get as much factual information as possible. And that's when the pictures started rolling in. And I was thinking, this is not Kentucky. This is, it looks like a movie, honestly. And so the next day, the death toll numbers started to roll in and they only got higher and higher. And it was a shock to everyone. And so I knew as Miss USA, one of the first things that I wanted to do when I came back was to visit the areas impacted. And so I was able, thankfully, to work with First Lady Bashir in a toy drive for the kids that were impacted
Oh
right before
wow.
Christmas. So Santa was the best part of it. I just happened to assist Santa.
Oh,
We
that's
ended
so
up
cool.
handing out toys, but I was also able to speak with a family who had lost everything. And I remember we went to their house and I thought that they had cleaned up the damage. And no, that was just what the tornado had left, was just the foundation. And so I think that's going to be an ongoing discussion in regards to long-term relief for Kentuckians. But also as Miss USA, bringing again, using media to bring that to the forefront and continuously talking about the need for aid is something that I will do.
No, and that's exactly it goes hand in hand with building a sustainable environment is rebuilding and recreating for the future. In Miss Universe handling all of this, what's like the one thing that kind of like inspires you to keep on going? Because you had a lot happening at the same time. Seeing this happen to your state, just winning Miss USA, Miss Universe, all of this, like I mean, life-changing first pageant. I mean, how did you kind of handle the stress of everything?
Um, it was a lot, but I think the support just kept me going.
Yeah.
I will be forever grateful for the support that was shown from people that I never met before, friends of friends, family members, Kentucky as a whole. I will be forever grateful for that, and I think that's what kept me going because I mean I was a little bit tired, but to know that there was so much support from people, I'll be forever grateful for that.
Oh, absolutely. I know. I don't think I could handle that. Just everything happening at the same time. It was really it was a really graceful journey to watch, actually, because you were so cheerful the entire time. I was following your stories, and you were full of joy and happiness, and there you just like seemed to be radiating light the entire time. And so that's just beautiful. I would be circled under the eyes.
So sweet, thank you.
Yeah, seriously. It was really graceful. And, so now that you're back home, boots on the ground, what are you looking forward to doing the most as Miss USA? Like you got a year, ahead of you for this.
I'm so excited. So I moved to LA next week, which will be
Wow.
completely different than Kentucky. So I'm excited for the move, but just, traveling the state as Miss USA, meeting as many people. I always said I'm a people person. I can talk to a wall. So my goal
Yeah.
USA is just to connect with as many people as possible. And Miss USA organization works with Smile Train, Best Buddies, all of these different organizations. So highlighting them. And it'll be a good year. I'm excited.
Yeah, no, I can't wait. So this is a little like future focusing, but after your incredible years Miss USA traveling, doing incredible collaborations, what do you want to do afterwards? What is something that you're interested in? I know it's a heavy question, so answer as you will.
That's a good question. That's a good question. I think it'll probably change in 6 months. My answer will probably change. But being in LA, it is the entertainment epicenter of the world. And so I will be taking full advantage of that. I was a reporter beforehand. And so I love media. And so I'm hoping to find a position that I get to encompass all the creative things I love. And hopefully it'll be in LA. I want to stay in LA or head to New York. Those are my two cities.
As you're the face of this organization, you're going to have a lot of media spots. There's a lot of things going on. It's kind of like a heavy mantle. Like you're actually representing the United States of America. Like that's like that's quite a mantle that you're carrying on your shoulders. And a lot of our listeners are people who strive to do the right thing and make a difference. And so, what keeps you going when doing the right thing gets hard? How do you handle that responsibility on the day to day?
I would say doing the right thing it's never really been an issue, but I think it is a lot of pressure. And so I think taking your time to yourself and reminding yourself why you're here, that you are capable of being in this position, I think that's been incredibly important for me. But also, like I said, my goal for this year is to connect with as many people as possible. And so by the end of the year, I want people to think of Elle as a woman who connected, but also was kind to everyone. And so being kind, staying humble, that's my mantra for the year.
That's really beautiful, and that's definitely going to be inspiring for not just people listening, but just for myself as well. Because it's easy to get really focused on the task at hand and forget that we need to put love out into the world at the same time. It's not just about the productivity and the getting things done, but also about our mentality and our heart. While we're doing so. So I think yeah, you do a great job of that. Um, so as you kind of maneuver, throughout this year, is there one person, like, and it could be a celebrity, it might not be, that you'd like to meet during your reign? I've got like three people I'd be interested in, but I
I've got
really want to hear from
one and one only, the queen bee herself, Beyonce. I don't even think I need to meet her. I just need to be in the same room. And then
you.
my life will
Breathe
be,
her energy.
yes, just her energy. If I see her within a certain distance, I'll be like, okay, I'm good. I'm good now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that would be really fun. I mean, I kind like I hope that happens for you now.
Yeah.
Like that would be really, really cool. Could you kind of go into that journey just for people who have never done anything like this before?
Yes, I would say that pageantry is a sport in itself. It takes a lot of dedication, and commitment. And so when I committed to competing in Miss Kentucky USA in December 2020, I was very new to the pageant world. So YouTube was my best friend. I utilized YouTube, and then I was like, I should probably get some insider perspective on this. So I got a pageant coach and then a trainer. And so every single day I was working my 9 to 5, and then I'd start prepping for Miss Kentucky USA and then Miss USA. And it was a lot. I mean, it is a demanding schedule, but it was the first thing in my life that I can 100% say that I've never wanted anything so badly. And so I was willing to put in the work, as much work as needed. But it's a lot. It's fun. It's fun, but it's a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And no, it's so incredible that you put in the same amount of consistency because consistency wins everything overall. And so I think that really showed on stage was the preparation. And as someone who didn't prepare as much as I should have, I know how how helpful preparation really is.
Yeah.
And yeah, so what was there's several events again for those of you that don't know, there's interview, there's swim, there's going to be evening, and then there's also questions that you have to answer. What was the thing you're feeling most confident about going into it?
Interview.
Interview.
Just
Okay.
because I feel like I can talk to a wall, and my personality really shines in interviews. So I was, of course, nervous before all different parts of the competition, but I was really excited for interview and to get to talk to the judging panel.
No, and I'm sure you were great. I wish we could see interview. I wish
Oh,
you
I
talk
know.
about her.
I wish I could see interview too. It would be cool to watch everyone's and learn more about everyone.
Yeah, I know that would have been so fun. Now, what is the thing that you're the most nervous about? Like that you were like a little shaking in your boots about?
Mm, I think prelims,
Okay.
just because it was the first time that you walked the Miss USA stage. And so you've been rehearsing all week, but now the lights and the camera were real. The audience was full. And so I was there were some nerves before prelims, but finals, I was ready. It was so fun for finals.
No, you looked great out there. And was Miss Universe, was it such a big jump? Like did it feel like a big jump or did it just feel like a natural progression from USA?
It felt like a big jump, just because it's such a massive, massive stage. The platform is huge. There's so many eyes on you when you're at Miss Universe. But in regards to the pageant itself, it felt like a natural progression, which I was appreciative of, just because of the quick turnaround. but it was a lot of fun. Meeting all the different delegates from all around the world was something that I'll never forget.
Yeah, no, I was watching all the content on Instagram and it looked really fun. So I am also really curious. You've been talking about this preparation journey. Do you have a role model, like from the time you were a kid, that was like stuck in your head of, I want to be this person, or this person is a highlight that I would like to strive to?
Um, I think for a lot of young women, their mothers are incredibly important. So I would say my mother, she has just been a class act from the time that I was little. She is just such a beautiful person inside and out. And she's really taught me to have the faith in myself. And even throughout this whole entire journey, she was like, you are valuable as Ellen without the Miss USA crown, which I've appreciated. But then again, Beyonce, I have been obsessed with this woman since I was little. I used to learn her choreography from the time that she was in Destiny's Child to
Oh,
now.
wow.
And so she is just the epitome of a strong Black woman. And I love seeing how her career has taken different forms over the years. And
Mhm.
that's the one person, if I met her, I would probably cry. That's my girl.
Yeah, so a couple other things, just to put into the ears of our listeners. What's like a must read or a must watch that's really transformed your life that you feel like, and I know it's a massive question, but
That is a massive question. I would say Becoming by Michelle Obama was such an
Mhm.
intriguing read for me. Because I remember when Barack won the presidency, I was so young. But to watch him over the years, their marriage, and I've always admired her. She's just a classy woman, but she's intelligent. She's not afraid to speak her mind. And so reading her book and hearing her perspective on all things related to the years that Barack was president, and everything she is as a mother, as a businesswoman. It was fascinating. And I think as a Black woman, I appreciated it even more.
Yeah, and now I'm curious, as a Black woman in America, how do you feel like, your experience has been different or been shaped by stigmas or, anything systemic? How do you feel like that's kind of impacted you, growing up?
I am biracial. And so I think many biracial people, men, women, can relate to the idea of not sticking to a box. You don't check the box. I remember taking a test one time and they were like, white or Black? And I was like, I'm both. And this is so
I'm
awkward. And
confused.
there wasn't a both. Now I've on the test things, there's both. But growing up, there wasn't. And so I think I had a little bit of identity crisis growing up, but I
Mhm.
think that comes with being multiracial. And so now I appreciate both perspectives because it's given me, I always say, the best of both worlds. I love both cultures. I get to embrace both of that. And I also feel like I can speak to anyone because I grew up in that household. And so I would say I'd say being multiracial, biracial is the best part of me.
Yeah, no, and as you can see, so am I. And having parents from very, look very different. I remember the same question on that same test of, are you Black or white? And I'm like, I'm confused. I don't know what's going on. And then, I would want to be able to connect with people, and not know which group to sit with, not know which group to identify with because I was never, white enough or Black enough. And so I think that I'm really excited how we're redefining race in America, that you can be biracial and that's an identity of its own.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it's also really cool that like your Miss USA and young girls can see that. Like if I would have seen that as a kid, oh my God, it would have like changed my life. Just knowing that somebody that looked like me could be where you are, you know?
I think representation is so important. And I think I've realized it even more being Miss USA.
Yeah, yeah. And I think also, like, as you're pointing out about Michelle and her book, I think seeing that representation at such a high place in society and seeing Black people in those places of leadership is what genuinely makes a difference for our community. So thank you for being a part of that, by the way. I just want to thank you for taking the leap, and being that, golden statue for a lot of young, or young girls. Yeah. You're traveling the entirety of the US. If there was one place outside of the US that you haven't been, where would you like to go?
Dubai. I have my answer ready. I
Oh, okay.
really
So
want to
tell me
go to
why.
Dubai. I've had so many friends visit, and so I think the landscape is beautiful. culturally, I want to learn more about it. And so that's on my list. Of course, Paris, I want to have lunch in front of the Eiffel Tower. I
Yeah.
have a very long list of places that I want to go, but Dubai is next on my list.
No, I agree. I've been like watching like the history of Dubai videos like on repeat on
Yeah,
YouTube, and I'm like, how did they build all of this? Like,
fascinating. It's
it's
fascinating.
so gorgeous. And I can't wait to see your Instagram feed when you do go, because I'm sure every post will be completely aesthetic. So I am very much looking forward to that. Yeah, so after you travel the world and you come back to the US, I would love to encourage you to give us one word to all the viewers, all the listeners of what you'd like to tell people. And I know a lot of other podcasts kind of like finish out like this. It's like if you could tell the world one thing, what would it be? Um, and so if you have any ideas of something that you'd like to put out into the world, go for it.
I would say two things. One, be kind to others, but also be kind to yourself. I think words are incredibly powerful. And so
Yeah.
you can be kind to others and also say nice things to yourself, but also listen more than you speak, because when you're listening, you're taking in new information, but when you speak, you're only saying what you know. So I think it's important to gain new perspectives and new insights as well.
That's beautiful. I really like that, and I think if we were more kind as a society, actually, one of our BPC members said we have a problem with care and community, and I think that goes hand in hand. So that's really well said. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to our listeners today? Anything else you'd like to put out into the air before we wrap up?
Mm, no, I think you covered everything.
Perfect, perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I am so excited to hear about your heart, and excited to see what happens up ahead for you. I'm going to be following your journey, and I'm sure everybody else will as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you.